Hello there. Today we're going to learn how to make a strop. A strop is really important in woodworking. It's important. It's used with knives and tools of all kinds. They come in different sizes, in different shapes. Depending on what your preference is and what you're going to use the strop for. I want to look at a couple of mine, and then we'll talk about what to use to make a strop with. If everything is not square and straight as far as the video goes, you'll have to forgive me. I can't see the screen in this bright, harsh light. But I spoke about different types of strop. For a woodworking strop, something like this would work. I need to recondition this. I may do a video on that. But all this is an old piece of furniture that I built a guitar out of. And I just cut out like a 3-inch wide by 8-inch long. I believe that's 8. No, 8 3/4. The length is not crucial as long as it's long enough to do what you need to do it with. And put some leather on top of it and put some of this, which is a chromium oxide, basically crayon. It's a wax-based stick that has chromium oxide paste, which is supposed to be 0.5 micron in fineness. But these are good for knives and tools and things of that nature. This works fantastic for that. But if I was making a strop for a straight razor, which is what we're going to make today, and I wanted to put paste on it, I would use this. This is for maggot razors. And it's a paste, but it's a really, really fine, really controlled paste that has very fine grit to it with none of the random thicker particles that you would find in this. This is a no on a straight razor. You want something like this. So when we look at that, that's the difference between the two. I could use this on knives just fine. It would be fantastic. It would be actually a much better compound than that, but I don't need it on knives. The edge of a straight razor is incredibly fine. You can get a really fine edge on a knife, but not like you can on a straight razor, because the metal is much thinner at the cutting edge on a straight razor than it will be on most knives. But anyway, so I would use something like this for chisels, plane blades, knives, that kind of deal. But we're also going to make one that's about 2.5 inches. It's going to be a bit narrower, but 8 inches long. And we're going to make today we're going to make a double-sided one, so that I can have plain leather on one side and a piece of leather like this on the other with this compound on it, so the razor can be refreshed with this. But you could use that for razors as well. You could put little feet on the bottom of it, so you could use it just like a stone. Just sit it on your bench and go to town. Or you could hold it in your hand and use it like that. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want. So remember, we're talking different sizes. I have this. Now this is a little piece of mahogany that I had left over from a blank for a guitar neck. And I put this, I have just cleaned all the compound, or most of the compound, off of this. The leather was green. It's just a piece of leather that I got in a big leather scrap bag that I got from Michael's. And I glued it onto here, and I'll put paste on it. And this is cool for little small pocket knives and things like that. And I made it out of the mahogany because I had it laying around, but you don't need that. This is getting a little bit fancy. But I had it, so why not? And then we have something like this. This has to be cleaned off and sanded down a bit, and then new polish applied. But this is just a piece of poplar that I bought, 1/4-inch thick piece of poplar I bought at Lowe's years ago, and I was practicing figuring out how to cut fret slots with a tool that was not meant to do that. And so I just turned this into a strop, and it's long because I can lay it on a bench and take my big kitchen knives and strop them back and forth. So this is for the kitchen. You can make any strop you need. Listen, you can go online and get some of them fairly cheap. You can get a $15 or $20 strop. It will work fine. But you can make your own strops. They're not expensive. They're not hard to make. They're a simple device that's meant to help you keep an edge on your knives and your tools. So, I mean, I have this piece of cherry. I probably won't show it on video, but I'm going to cut this one down and use like a little... This is a leather from an old guitar strap that I had. And I'm just going to cut that and fit this to size on this little thing. And it'll be a little knife strap for the smaller knives that I have. I may or I may not put compound on this one. But you can do it with less than that. What this is like a 1 inch, it's actually like 3/4 inch piece of pine board from Lowe's. And this is what we're going to use today to make a strop with. You don't need anything fancy. This is perfectly serviceable. All it needs to be is straight and square and reasonably flat. You have to understand that you don't need super flat even for a straight razor on a strop unless you're using really thin leather. We'll get to that in a minute. The leather's going to give just a little bit, and it's not going to matter. So what leather do you choose? Well, there's a lot of people here on YouTube that will tell you you need exotic leathers, that you need really fancy leathers, all this other stuff. You don't. I am not going to argue that a better leather won't leave a better edge on your tool, but I can tell you right now that that's minuscule, nitpicky kind of stuff that people like me and other guys that are really, really into it are going to look for, and it won't make a dime's worth of difference on the edge of your knife when it comes to cutting. Or your tool, your plain blade. But you want a decently thick leather, and in my opinion, you want something that's fairly stiff. I got this from Michael's. It's just a, well, I don't know. I would guess that's a 6 or 7 or 8 ounce. I would guess this is a 7 ounce thickness of leather. That's just a guess. But somewhere between 7 and 8 is going to be good enough. Because what it is I'm going to glue this to this strop with wood glue. And I want the leather to be thick enough that the glue is not going to soak through it, okay, to the surface. Garment leather and very, very thin leathers are something that you should avoid with a strop, my personal opinion. Once again, I'm working with a display on this camera that I can't really see. Hopefully, I've got everything right and everything fairly level. So what I'm going to do, I know that this side is square because I've checked it with my square. We'll check it again. So I'm going to work from this side. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here, along here. Now you could do this with a table saw. I've got one. Knock yourself out if that's what you're most comfortable with. But by the time I got the table saw set up, I can pretty much be good to go. And this is a hand tool channel. This will probably air on my sharpening playlist on my other channel too, but I'm just gonna cut this by hand. So all right, turn that over. Won't hurt it. That's fairly square, but we're gonna square that end off with a shooting board. But what I want to do now, I'm gonna come down here to around 8 inches. I'm gonna give it like a 1/16 of an inch of extra length so that I can plane these boards square. But if I can find it now, but doesn't matter. I'm going to try to make an 8-inch long strop, but if it's 8 15/16 or something like that, that's not anything that's going to matter at all. And a lefty has one heck of a time doing anything in this world, and I have no idea why, but we're going to go. I'm going to put my blade in that notch and do that number. Then we're going to go light, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. That's how that's going to work. We're going to put this in a vise. So that's right at 8 inches. Fairly square. That's fairly square. Well, I think I lost the footage of the shooting board. Don't know why, but this really is not unlevel, but I'm going to do a little bit to smooth it out. So I'm going to back this up a hair. so that I get a nice smooth surface. All right, so we have a final dimension of 7 and 14/16 by 2.5. Line this leather up. I don't know if you can see or not. I had a cover on the top of this bench, and I thought that was causing issues with light, but this, not having any cover on this, is even worse. And I'm gonna just cut out this piece of leather. The length of the width of, rather. This block, give or take. And then I'm gonna do it again. All right. So we've got that done. And what we want to do, we're gonna let's take this glue, spread it. And the thing is, I put a lot of glue on there, and I want to get rid of some of that. Yes, that's what the bottom of the bench is for. My benches. That's why, one of the reasons you don't see me making really exotic hard maple and walnut and beech and mahogany and yada 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 benches, because a bench is a surface I'm going to work on. It's not something that I'm going to baby in any kind of way at all. What I'm going to do, we're going to do that. And then that's probably too much too. Let's see. No, that's better. So here's the strop. This side I sanded with 2000 grit. I'm gonna put compound on that side. This is the stropping surface for leather. I burnished both sides with the smooth part of a stainless steel cup. You really want glass, but that will work for what I'm going to do. So we're going to set this in the vise, and I'm not sure exactly how this compound is going to work. This is the Maggot Razors compound for straight razors. This is chromium oxide for straights, and you need to realize that's important. You can't just use kind of chrome ox, and that is working wonderfully. I like that. And I'm just gonna pull as much of that this way as I can. Okay, I see that I need more. This is way too more paste than you actually need for a straight razor, but we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to I want it to look as even as possible. Just let that dry. I think that's as good as we're going to get it. We're going to let that dry, and that will be straight razor strop. You can make whatever suits your needs, and I encourage you, if you need a strop, unless it's a hanging strop or something like that where you need a high degree of craftsmanship to actually make the thing, these are really easy to do, and they are well worth the time to do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.